Hello and welcome to my channel. This is my take on batch painting, speed painting, basically anything that helps you reduce your pile of plastic shame. Um, the techniques employed in this video are very simple, very easy to follow. I'm not gonna be talking over the video. It's going to be a video that runs with just some music playing, and you're gonna see everything in a speeded up fashion of how I went about it. Any questions I'll answer in the comments. And if I get enough information from you guys, I'll reincorporate what you ask for and put it into the videos. What you see here is me painting with oils. So there are acrylics obviously in use, but I am using oils as well. Oils are very scary and a lot of people shy away from them, and I'm going to try and show you that you can use them to speed paint in a fashion as a beginner that looks effective. Now, I'm a Blood Bowl player. I have a lot of Blood Bowl models as my shame. So you're going to see me paint my human team in the Middenheim Marauders colours. I'm going to post a picture of the old Middenheim Marauders, of what they used to look like. And from there, you're going to see me transform this team into what you see now. I will let the video speak for itself with just some music playing. Anyway, enjoy the video. Thank you very much. So I know I said I wasn't going to talk, but I'm going to give you little snippets of information so you guys can understand what is going on at the moment, and if there's anything I do that I think should be explained to you guys. So I mean, at the moment this is pretty simple stuff. This is just blocking in the skin color where I think the skin is. You will notice that I make some mistakes in the future with some of the other models, and I end up repainting what was a hand into a glove. But for the most part, this process on all the models across the board, we're talking about maybe 10 minutes a model. There's 11, 12 of them. So it's about an hour or so, give or take. It doesn't take long. In fact, it's probably less than 10 minutes because it's just the little patches. I'm being very generous there with the time. So yeah, this is really easy and doesn't take much time at all to do. And it's step one of the speed paint. So with step one done, we're on to step two, which is going to be blocking in the colours. The first colour we're going to choose is going to be the contrast paint Blood Angels Red. Now I like using speed paints and contrast paints and any of those types of paints because they flow from the bottle off the palette with ease. They give great coverage most of the time. There are some, obviously some colours are different, but for the most part give great coverage. And they just feel fantastic as you're using them. There's no harsh, no fighting against them as the paint starts drying or so on. It's just always free flowing, and they always give a great result. There's a unified result as well. The paint is just always perfectly applied because that's what they do. That's what they're designed to do. But I won't be using speed paint or contrast paint throughout the entire video. There will be, for the white, for instance, that will be an acrylic white. And this is the reason why I've chosen the red to go first, because I'm using an acrylic white that will be able to go over the red with ease, and I won't have to worry about, covering colours and whatnot. So I know my white is strong enough to do that. But all it is right now is just mapping out where you want your blocks of red to go, and then once you've done that, the pattern is the same across the board, and essentially it's rinse and repeat. This process takes about 15 minutes per model, maybe. I'd say 10-15 minutes. It doesn't take long. It's really quick and simple, and it's step two in the speed paint process. So once the red has been applied and dried, we can then start blocking in our white. And the great thing about using the speed paint first, or the contrast paints, any of those types of paints, is they usually dry very fast. So by the time you've finished the last model, you can pretty much start the next one because they're all dry. So this process is very fast and free-flowing, because you can go straight from the last model, model 12 in this instance, straight back into model 1, start painting without any running of the colours or distorting or anything like that. Nothing will pick up, and it's free and easy to be able to block in the second colour and get that basic shade down before we go into the detailing. So now that the colours red and white have been applied and we've got our main two blocked in, we've now just got the details to do. The details, for the purposes of this video, I have deliberately kept simple and just plain. So leather straps that might have had a range of browns and hues to them are black for the purpose of this video. Again, the shoes are black. The ball is just a simple snake bites contrast paint on them. The cloth on the side of the thrower might have had a pattern in the past, you know, if I was going for to make the team more elaborate, and I could probably go into it in the future to do that, but for the purposes again of this video, keeping it simple, I just made it a black cloth, keep it in tie-in with the team colours, black for the belt and so on. I use the speed paint because they flow into the recesses with ease, and it's just really quick and easy to just cover up any mistakes afterwards. Okay, so now it's time for the fun part. So once you've got all the colours painted, all of your details down, and it's looking pretty bad at this point, pretty basic, pretty grim, you give yourself a matte varnish over all your models. In this instance, I use Colour Forge matte varnish. I actually think it's probably one of the better matte varnishes on the market. There are others, there are other good ones, but for me, this one, I'm not sponsored by them, by the way, but Colour Forge, they nailed their matte varnish. So hats off to them. I honestly can't get better. Use it. With the bath that we're about to prep, you need to get yourself some oil paints. It could be cheap or expensive. It is totally up to you on your budget. Bear in mind, the more you spend, the better the pigment you'll probably find in the paint. The best bang for buck, I'd say, is Dale Arowney. You can usually get a box set of their oil paints in tubes that are the size of your finger. They will last you a long time because you're going to be mainly using them for washes and just touch-ups. The next brand I would advise going for would be the Winsor Newton, and they range more steeply in price. Now I'm using Winsor Newton in this because I have a big tube of black Winsor Newton that I started and I probably will never see the end of. Once you've got your oils, you need a container to make your washes. Now I use empty like salsa jars or pasta bake jars, anything like that. The lids are metal. They're great for mixing in because the metal doesn't get damaged by the thinner. And obviously, being a glass jar, the actual the mix you put in is fine. And honestly, all this effort now, which doesn't take long, your models are going to love it.
You know, Snippy, this is not so bad.
I would advise using odorless thinner as well. Don't do what I did and use the flavorful stuff. Whew, talk about fuming. But once you've mixed down to the consistency that you're after, in my case, I went very dark just to showcase that you can't go wrong. There is no mistake with oils because even if you put too much on, you can always take it off. And if you don't put enough on, you can always go back to it. And if you're like me, you'll take what you don't use and you'll put it into a smaller jar. So I use the jars that come for herbs. I take the lids off, wash out the jar, and then I use those as my little wash pots. And I've got several wash pots already pre-done. But again, for the purposes of this video, I wanted to show me making the mix up so you could see it being done before your eyes. And that way then you know that it's not something that's hard to do. It's very easy, to be honest, it's very cheap for what you're getting as well. And the effect is amazing, which you'll see afterwards. And it's fun. This is a fun process. This has brought back the joy of painting to me. It's just fun again because it's messy. And who doesn't like doing dirty things? Anyway, enjoy until the next bit. So once you've got all your models covered in your little oily wash and you've given them their good bath, the next stage is to wait for that to dry. Now that sounds silly because oils take years to dry. No. What you want is the pigment to settle down and for the thinner that you've used to make the wash to evaporate, so that all you're left then is with the oily residue on the model, and that's what we're going to be playing with. So when I say to dry, it's for the evaporation of the thinner. That can take, varying on humidity and so on, any amount of time, but I usually leave my models for about 15-30 minutes, depends again on the time of the year, so forth. You can leave it longer if necessary. There is no right or wrong on this. The longer the better. You know, you can leave it for an hour, but you don't need to. You're just going for at least half an hour, right? Once you've got your models and they're suitably dry, they're no longer got that sheen to them that you saw when you were applying the mix to them. Once that sheen is gone, you're then able to go into the next stage, which is painting without painting. You're essentially going to be painting the models by removing the paint. Now, disclaimer, you are using thinner on the end of a cotton bud to remove the oil. If you rub too hard, because we've used contrasts and speed points, which are a very thin layer of paint, whilst they have been sealed with a varnish, the toxicity of the thinner can remove the paint. So don't rub hard. We are gently dibbity-dabbing, right? It will not damage your paint. It may lighten it if you rub a little too hard. It may remove a little bit, but you can pass it off as battle damage, or you can even go back in after it to touch it up. But in reality, once you get into this, there is no issue, and all you're doing is you're just running the cotton bud gently over the model with the spirits on it. And once you get adept at this, it'll be one cotton bud, both ends, per model. At the beginning, you may find you'll be using multiple cotton buds. Not the end of the world. Again, learning curve, right? We all start somewhere, and how you do it is going to be indicative of your abilities at that time and as you progress. There is no right or wrong, no hard and fast. You just do it as you can. Now, you don't have to use black. I've used black again. I've kept it simple. Just keep it monotone, keep it clear, black. But you could go for the colours that match the actual colour that you painted underneath. So you could make a darker red for the red that we've applied, or you could use black for the white. You could use a dark shade of greens or purples and so on for other colours. Again, that's later. This is for now, for this video, this is just beginner friendly, getting you into it, simple, but you can take this as far as you want with however you want to take it, but that'll be for other videos. When it comes to the rest of the model now, the basing is as important as the models themselves. So a lot of people, once they've painted their model, they'll spend ages on their models and they'll get it to a standard where they're like, oh, it's fantastic. They'll just put some glue on, dip it in the flock, done. And that's quick and easy, don't get me wrong, very quick and easy. But they never do the model justice. So you can have a bad paint job, but if the model is based well, the model will still look amazing. If you have an amazing paint job and you base that model poorly, the model, no matter how good you've painted it, will always be subpar, because I would honestly say about 40% of what you're looking at to 50% of what you're looking at is the base. The base sets the scene for what the model is standing on. And if you get that right, your model looks amazingly 10 million times better than what it did before. So basing your model, for me, is by far as important as painting the models themselves. Now, as you can see, I'm applying the mud. The only thing that I wipe off is when the mud goes around onto the side of the bases. And the reason why I wipe that off is because the mud has obviously got texture in it and whatnot, and I don't want the side, which is essentially going to be the frame of the base, I don't want it to be textured. I want it to look smooth still. So I will wipe that off, that excess off with my finger. But the rest of the model, if it goes onto the boots, it's not the end of the world, because they walk through muddy grounds. I've deliberately tried to make it look like they're muddy grounds, so it makes sense that they're going to have some on their boots. Now, whilst I will wipe away the mud from the edges of the base, obviously there's going to be some brown along the black, and throughout the painting with the oil washes and the wiping away and so on with the thinners, it's going to have degraded the black base that we had already varnished prior. So we need to reapply some black paint, spruce it up a little bit, make it look good, and just rejuvenate it. So out comes the black paint again, and along the rims of the bases we apply the black paint just to tidy it up again. When it comes to the varnishing section, you've matte varnished the coloured layers, but you want really a satin varnish. So this is where Games Workshop, in fairness, or any other brand that has like a satiny finish, this is where those pot ones come in handy, because then you can get your brush in and you can apply the satin all over your textured base and the black rim that you've reapplied the black to touch it up. And you can give it, it's not a shine, but it's almost like it's like a dull sheen. It's not shiny like gloss, but it's got something. That's what you want for your base. Then you're going to go back into it with a gloss varnish, and you're going to make what will appear to be puddles. Now, you're not going to do this on all models and all types of basing, but for the purposes of this video, I wanted there to be the look of wet ground. So I went in with my gloss Undercoat from Games Workshop, and I started applying little bits to where I thought puddles would pool, the mud would be wet and congealed, maybe where they're pushing into the ground and you see the water just poke through. The ground is sodden, just a little bit wet sort of thing. That's what I wanted for underneath the tufts that you see applied later. when you buy your tufts, there are some brands that are better than others. This is TT. I've never used these before, actually. This was the first time for me using these. I probably will use them again. They're not bad. I do prefer, though, if I'm honest, Army Painter. I think Army Painter's tufts are the best. I haven't tried all tuft makes, though, so there are other companies that I've yet to try and experience. Like I said, this is the first time trying out this company's. They look like tufts. Tufts are uneven. I wanted it a little bit more even in parts, so I just give it a little trim. Same with the Army Painter ones or any of the other makers. Tufts, you have to, it's a football field. You want to try and give it some sense that the lawn had been cut at some stage in the past. Maybe not cut now, but yeah. So I went in with the scissors, give it a little cut. And all you see is me just applying this with my my tool, which you could use you could even use the scissors, to be honest. Anything with a point, pen, whatever. Pop it down, push it in. They're self-adhesive, straight onto the base, easy peasy. And then once that's in place, you can then get on to the next stage of making your model have that little extra to make it sing. So you need to detail, not all bases will have the white lines of the football pitch, but some of them will, and you want to make sure that those white lines are easily seen and not on the base. So you get yourself a little cocktail stick. You can take a cotton bud, one that you've used to wipe down the thing, pull off all the fluff at the end, because obviously it's used, just pull it off, and then you've got the stick. The stick is fine. And just paint that and use that. It all does the same thing. And then you're straight into the enamel paints. So there are pre-made enamel paints from AK that you can get, or you can make your own. You can again use the color range that I showed you. You can pick up oil paints for next to nothing. £6, I think, was the oil paints that I showcased in the video earlier. But you can make your own washes, or you can, for the purposes of this, you can get some dark mud from AK or from another company, and you can just use that. And then you just get some thinner, apply it on your model, and then get some thinner, dibbity-dab, wash it into the recesses, remove some of the thicker parts, keep some of the thicker parts, until you get the look that you're happy with. It doesn't take long. There's no thinking about it. You're just dabbing it on and giving it a little sprinkle off. Done. And then you're left with this. And I'm gonna say now, this is my rejuvenated painting for me, because it takes me no time at all. This team was basically painted in maybe 7-8 hours, give or take. It's a day, right? With all the drying, you could add dry. Maybe if you wanted it, if you got kids or what like I have, you could do this over a course of a couple of days. Just block it out. Do a little bit here, a little bit there, an hour here, hour there, a day, done. But it takes no time at all, and the effects, they look good. They look like they're players that are playing on a muddy field. And that's what you want. And you can always in the future go back and reapply details and make them look, maybe bits of blood or whatever. You can apply it and make them sing even more. But that's the joy of painting. It's never finished. Never. There's always more poking you can do. But you want to get it to that base level, that tabletop standard, with the speed element involved. Well, there you go, guys. That's my first painting tutorial video done. I hope you enjoyed it. What can I say but thank you for listening to my ramblings. And if you've made it this far in the video, getting to this point, I really do appreciate the fact you've watched this match. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. I appreciate you all for being here. Bye-bye.